What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alright, y'all, so today it is time we talk about catering. So I've been getting a lot of questions on some of my catering videos recently, and I figured it would be a good time to go and do an update video, because I did do a video similar to this giving you guys some tips about catering, and that was well over a year ago. So I felt like it would only be fair to do an update video since I've learned a lot since then, and to just give some updated information for the new folks that are new to the channel, so I can make sure that everybody's taken care of and all of their questions are answered. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys 5 starter tips for those who are looking into getting into catering gig apps. So starting off with tip number 1, finding the right app. Now for this tip, there technically is no right or wrong answer here. It's just up to preference. There are gig apps that are designed specifically for catering, and I actually went over a list of those apps recently, so if you haven't checked that video out, make sure you do so. Now out of that list, the most popular catering gig apps are Delivered and Deliver That. Besides those apps that are dedicated to just catering, there are other gig apps that do offer catering gigs on top of the other gigs that they have to offer. So a couple of examples of those apps are going to be DoorDash, Skipcart, and MetroBee. Now, like I said, there is no right or wrong answer here. It is just up to your preference. Of course, some apps might not be available in some markets. Some apps might have better order availability. Some apps have a better pay scale than others. But regardless, just choose whatever apps you're comfortable with and whatever is best for your situation. All right, moving on to tip number 2. Preparation. So this is going to be a mouthful, so bear with me. First of all, you need to make sure you have the appropriate vehicle to accommodate this food. We're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of food. So you can't do this on a scooter or a bike. Having a standard size sedan or an SUV will be perfectly fine. On top of that, you need to make sure that vehicle is clean. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I do have some boxes behind me. These are actually the boxes that I use for my catering bags, and I'll get into that in a minute. But if you have any clutter, say if you have kids, pets, or you just have a bunch of stuff in your car because you're a hoarder, that stuff needs to be cleared out, because you need to have as much space as possible for this food when you're transporting it. Now, as far as the equipment that you're gonna need, you will need catering bags. Now, I have 6 catering bags currently. 4 of them I got from the Delivered app, and 2 I purchased from Amazon. So the ones I purchased from Amazon, you can find those linked in the description below. And for the ones that I got from Delivered, like I said, you can get those directly from their website. The first 2 I got from them, I actually got those for free, because when you complete a certain number of deliveries on the Delivered app, they will send you free equipment, and that does include free bags. Now, I get a lot of questions about the boxes that I have in my bags. Yes, I do keep boxes in my bags, and it's for a couple of reasons. So one, it just makes things easier for loading and unloading, because some of these bags, they can get a little flimsy. So having that box in there, it just makes things simpler. You can just literally put the tray in, no type of resistance. You don't have to move the bag around or anything like that. 2, it also provides an extra layer of protection. Now, when you're stacking your bags, you do not want to squish the food at the bottom. So what that box does, it adds an extra layer of protection. As long as you are not overstuffing the boxes and you leave a little bit of cardboard left, once you stack another box on top of that, that lip of that box is going to create a barrier between the food below and the food that you're stacking on top of it. So not only is the food protected below, but you can go ahead and do an easy game of Tetris and stack the boxes on top of each other. Now, another question I get a lot, where do I get my boxes from? So I actually get my boxes from the restaurants that I pick up from. So sometimes they might have all the food already pre-packed in the box. I'll just go ahead and take the box and use it for another time if I have enough boxes. But if you're picking up from restaurants where they aren't packing the food in the boxes, you could just ask them like, hey, do you guys have any extra boxes that you're going to be throwing away? Do you mind if I just take them? I mean, they're going to go in the garbage anyway, right? So if you're lucky enough, you might be able to go ahead and snag some boxes from the restaurants. So that way you can save yourself some money and you don't have to purchase boxes. Now, lastly, when it comes to preparation, you need to make sure you have yourself a nice set of wheels to move this food from the restaurant to your car, and from your car to the delivery location. So I personally have a collapsible wagon that I use, and if you guys want to purchase that or check it out, I also do have that linked in the description below. I also purchased that from Amazon. So a wagon will be fine, or a cart or a hand truck, whatever you're comfortable with, as long as it's something that's collapsible that can easily fit into your vehicle. Some other accessories that you can have on hand just in case: you can have some bungee cables just to make sure the bags are secure. You can get some tarps or some type of blanket to cover up the food if you need to in bad weather, and things like that. So like I told y'all, it was gonna be a mouthful when it came to preparation. All right guys, so I kind of wanted to go and show you guys how I do my bags on my wagon, because I did get a question about that. So I usually stack no more than 3 on this wagon. This is my collapsible wagon that I use. So I'll usually have 1 bag at the bottom, and I'll stack 2 bags on top like that, and I'll use my bungee cable. There's these 2 little sections here where I can just go ahead and get that there. It's nice and snug. I'll go over here and wrap that around. Sure, it's nice and secure, and I can still open this up and pull it if I need to. Otherwise, I can just leave it like that. And this isn't going anywhere. Obviously, there's usually stuff in here, so it's a little bit more sturdier than it is now. But this is what I meant about having that lip with your boxes, because if you see here, see how I have this space here? So when I put a bag on top of this, it's meeting that lip on the box. So this box is not coming in contact with any pans that are down here. So that's what I meant by that. But that's pretty much how I'll go ahead and stack my boxes and everything on my bags. And just so you can see for size comparison, I don't know if you guys can tell that much, but this is the smaller bag. This is the bag I got off of Amazon, and these are the bags I got from Delivered. I have them in gray, and I have them in black as well. So that's pretty much it with that. So hopefully that answers that question. I just wanted to do that quick little demonstration. But let's go ahead and move on to tip number 3, and that's going to be organizing the food. Now, organizing the food is something that is very, 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 very important, if not one of the most important steps that you need to make sure you are following. Now, you have to make sure that the food is stacked properly in your bags. You do not want to have something super light like a pan of bread go underneath a pan of rice or chicken. That bread is going to get squished every single time. So you want to make sure you have your heaviest stuff at the bottom, usually your starches or your proteins, and then if you have anything lighter left over, you can stack that on top. Remember, like I mentioned earlier, making sure that you're not overstuffing your bags and your boxes. You want to make sure you have enough space left so you can have that lip to protect the next bag that you have to put on top of the bag below, because depending on what you're picking up, everything might be heavy. So if you have heavy on top of heavy on top of heavy, whatever at the bottom, good luck. So again, just to reiterate, just make sure you have that space in between those boxes so you can protect that food at the bottom. Now, separating the hot and cold food is just as important as well. You do not want to have a hot tray of chicken or beef in the same bag as a cold salad or a gallon of lemonade, because last time I checked, you know, having slightly warmed lemonade and slightly warm crunchy lettuce is not too appetizing. So make sure you go ahead and separate the hot food from the cold food and keep those in separate bags. I know that some people might be trying to finesse. If they have extra space in one bag, they'll probably go ahead and try to take whatever they have over here and stuff it in this bag so they have one less bag to worry about. I get it, but trust me when I say the customers will appreciate if everything is separated properly. I'm all about working more efficient, but I'm not gonna go ahead and skimp out on providing good service. So make sure you are taking that extra step. All right, moving on to tip number 4, food total differences. Now, I want to ask you guys a quick question. If you were handed $500 worth of Wendy's and $500 worth of P.F. Chang's, would you say that the amount of food for both of these orders is the same? The answer is going to be no. And honestly, in some cases, $500 worth of food from the same restaurant can also be different in the amount of work that you have to do. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to catering, this is not going to be a simple pickup and drop off to the customer like you would with a regular food delivery. You are expected to do a setup unless otherwise stated by the customer. So the amount of food that you're going to have to deal with is going to play a huge part in determining whether or not a payout for an order is actually going to be worth taking. Now, unfortunately, not every app is going to give you this information, but there are enough apps that do, and you can use it to your advantage. So I'll go ahead and give you guys an example of something that I experienced. I received an order on Deliver That. It was an order for $1,100 worth of Subway. Now, the payout for this order was actually only going to be between, I think, $40 to $50, if I remember correctly. I ended up not taking that order. $1,100 worth of Subway, that was going to be a lot of food. Subway is cheap food. It's not $5 footlong cheap food anymore, but it's still considered fast food, right? So imagine picking up an order of that size and knowing that you're going to have to complete setup and knowing that you're only going to get $40 to $50 when everything is all said and done. Now, for some folks that might be okay, but honestly for me, I probably had to get at least like a minimum of maybe $80 to even consider doing this order, because it's Subway. You know, Subway, like I said, that's going to be a lot of food. Now, if it was a more upscale restaurant where each tray is like $150 a piece, you know, I might only have 2 or 3 catering bags. So yeah, that probably would have worked for me. So this is what I mean when I say pay attention to the subtotal of the food. It's going to help you determine whether or not that payout for that order that they're offering is going to be worth it. Now, this will be something that you will have to learn over time. You might not really know what $500 worth of a certain restaurant looks like until you actually see it. Of course, when it comes to fast food chains, you could probably tell really easily. But if you're talking about like some local restaurants or just some regional restaurants in your area, you may not really know what that looks like. So a little bit of trial and error is going to help you there. But once you do start getting comfortable with these orders, use that subtotal to your advantage so you can determine whether or not an order is going to be worth taking or not in the future. All right, and moving on to the last tip, tip number 5, app time discrepancies. So I don't know if you want to call this a tip or a heads up or whatever, but I had a lot of questions about this. Some people were just very confused as to why some of the times in the app for pickup and delivery, they just didn't make sense. And let me explain what I mean. There's a particular restaurant that I've picked up from a couple of times. And usually the delivery locations, they're about 2 to 3 miles away. Let's just say the pickup time is at 11 o'clock and the delivery time is at 11:45. Keep in mind, the delivery location is only 2 to 3 miles away. It's not gonna take me that long to get there. Even if I had to take 10 or 15 minutes to load up, a half an hour to get to the delivery location seems quite excessive, right? Well, there have been some times where I picked up the food and I've gotten to the delivery location too early and I have to wait, because you shouldn't be delivering the food no more than 10 minutes early. And I know that sounds crazy, because any other time, if you were to go ahead and get your food early, you would be so happy. So keep in mind, we're delivering to businesses, so they have specific time frames when they're expecting this food. So if they're in meetings or appointments or whatever it may be, you coming too early, that kind of throws them off. They may not be prepared. So you have to make sure you don't go in no more than 10 minutes early to actually go and complete this delivery. Now, going back to this example, a couple of times when I did pick up from this restaurant, there was an extremely long wait time. And by the time I did get the food, I actually made it just on time to the delivery location. And also, in case anyone is wondering, when it comes to the restaurant being behind, if you do go over on time and you end up being late to the drop-off because of the restaurant, that's not going to be a penalty towards you. Now, I don't know if every catering app does this, but I do know for sure Delivered and Deliver That does this. So you will get paid extra for waiting. So some apps might pay you by the minute after 15 minutes, or they might pay you every 15 minutes after the first 15. So you don't have to worry about if the restaurant's at fault in making you late. You get extra pay for that, and like I said, there's no fault to you if you arrive to the delivery location late. But whatever is in your control when it comes to timeliness, make sure you are doing everything in your power to be on time. And of course, if you do have questions about that time frame, if it just looks too crazy, just reach out to support. I'm pretty sure they can explain why it's set up the way that it is. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, there are some restaurants that just might have a reputation of being late when it comes to preparing the food for the driver. So they want to add that extra buffer just in case. So that would be the reason that I could see. I mean, there could be other factors as well, but if all else fails, you could always reach out to support and they can clarify for you. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for this video. So like I said, I just kind of wanted to answer some questions in regards to catering. I've mentioned this a few times, you know, catering gig apps, they are my favorite gig apps. I swear, you know, you can make the most amount of money in the least amount of time. So I know it's a really attractive gig app. A lot of people have a lot of questions, so I hope that I was able to answer everyone's questions and, you know, have everyone get a better understanding on what it's like. But, you know, if you have any other specific questions, you know, I'll do my best to answer them, but just let me know in the comments. Now, before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.